Hey guys, today was day 9 of yoga teacher training and we went over a repetitive stress injury, which is basically an overuse injury. Typically what happens is that we're not using proper alignment and then repeatedly being in poses and being misaligned can create an injury. So a lot of common ones would be your wrists, your lower back, your wrists because you're not having the wrist creases parallel to the mat, where you might have your hands too far in instead of angled out. And then when you're doing your chaturangas and upward dogs or low cobras, you're putting a lot of strain on the wrist area and it's not good for it. So if you properly align yourself, that won't happen. And the same thing goes for like your lower back is another main one that happens, and a lot of it comes from either overarching or not arching enough for your natural curve. So especially for like plank, just dipping your hips down too far and putting strain on your lower back. Also, if you have tight hamstrings, so some things to do would be to use some props. You could raise the floor to you by putting blocks underneath your hands instead of having to have your hands go all the way down to the floor for doing Uttanasana, or also spreading your feet out a little bit wider instead of having them so close together. That can help. Or also just having a slight bend in your knees. So that will be for tight hamstrings for Uttanasana, or a lot of other poses as well, but that one mainly. And also, if you are too flexible for Uttanasana, you can, make sure that your sit bones are actually going to the floor and not, creating too much of an arch when you're doing Uttanasana. Because when you're overly flexible, sometimes you lose your alignment as well, going in the opposite direction and go too deep into a pose. And you can also tear a muscle or have too much range of motion in a certain area. So we went over some of that, and then also just chaturanga and adho mukha, just going into the proper alignments for them. An upward facing dog, making sure where your hands are placed, where your body is placed, your feet, where the weight mostly is in, lifting through the sternum and the crown of the head, stuff like that. So that was pretty much it. And then we had to do some teaching scripts on how to do Surya Namaskar A and B. And, the proper alignment, the wording for the proper alignment to get people in and out of the poses. All right, see you guys tomorrow.